Hey everyone, this is Proilios. I wish you all a happy 2021 and welcome to my VOD review for the day. This is going to be a review of a gold level tank player who's going to be playing off tank in this match. And they say that they believe they lost this game because of poor pathing and coordination, which is quite a common problem when it comes to solo queue games, especially on the lower tiers of the ladder. So let's get into it. Uh, so the player we'll be reviewing is Anto. That's the third player on the blue team, who's currently on Zarya. So let's talk a little bit about the map first and how the comp works on it. So Hanamura, pretty standard point for death ball comps. So that's Ryan Zarya. Uh, so we've got a pretty good tank pair. They are great at holding the choke and just sort of controlling space on this point because it's a really brawly point. Uh, for DPS, we've got Junkrat and Genji, who are also pretty good on this point, so they can just spam both these chokes a little bit and help control high ground as well in case someone gets on here. And on support, we've got Ana Bap. So this does give us a ton of healing. It's a really good point for Ana because she can just rotate from this opening right over here and just be safe in general. She's really hard to dive or flank because of the like slightly less flanky nature of this map. So you can flank here. Technically, you can go up here if you're attacking. You can go through the left side, but in general, it's more tricky because the entire defending team will have their eyes on you. So pretty good point for Ana and Bap as well. Yeah, like pretty good comp in terms of healing. What you lack with Ana Bap is a Lucio, which is a great element in any deathfall comp since it helps the Ryan Zarya duo to reposition fast and rotate. But that's okay. Let's see how we can play with this comp. And the enemy team, I'm not sure if they're actually going to run a Bastion here, but let's see what they do. So I think this Ryan's going to be getting an early fire strike in. So we're just spamming a little bit. Got 11% charge, okay. They are running out with the... Alright, so the attackers are committing to the Bastion, which is a really odd decision, especially since they are also playing a Ryan Zarya comp. But alright, yeah, so your role in this comp as a Zarya player is basically to enable your Reinhardt, right? So pretty standard procedure. You just bubble the Reinhardt when he wants to swing, get that energy for yourself, enable him to get some ult charge as well, and just in general support him, stay with him as he's pathing, right? Not much pathing to do when you're defending on point A Hanamura, but yeah, just stay up, defend the choke. Let's see what happens. I see there's Doom charging his punch. Maybe he's going to just go in and punch the Rhine. I don't know. Let's see what you do here. Let's follow your POV. Just punches in. Okay. Okay, not bad. Okay, let's talk a bit about this engagement before we go any further. Because yeah, so generally I like to see how a fight plays out and then sort of point out what you could have done better. So there's just a ton of spam. We use a self bubble to back off, which I mean, it's not the best decision, but it's not the worst either because they are running a slow comp as well. So you should have your personal backup before they commit to the fight. So that's alright, we get ourselves more than 30 charge, which is pretty good. So let's see what we do here. Again, we're just spamming. Doom punches and hits Ryan, not a big deal. So I think over here we get a little bit lucky because the Bastion's sort of, I don't know, he should be shooting a bit more at you because you're exposed. So that's just like poor Bastion play because he's focusing on shooting the shield rather than actually shooting at exposed targets. Anyway, who the heck plays Bastion in Deathfall comps anyway, right? But you did say you lost to this, so I'm gonna try and be a bit nitpicky here to see what went wrong. So yeah, one thing I noticed is you were relatively out in the open when you were spamming the Bastion, which is not really ideal because if he focused you down, there wouldn't have been much you could have done to avoid dying. Maybe the Genjis here only deflect some of the damage, but you know, just if you're playing solo queue, better not to take a risk like that. So if you're standing in this position, better to just kind of just jiggle peek over here so that you're in and out of cover and it's harder for him to melt you down. Again, we're just spamming. So that, I hope you realize this, that was a little bit of a weird bubble because neither was your Rhine in the fight, nor was he being subjected to damage. So that's really one bubble not utilized properly, which you could have saved for another occasion. And then we're going in, we spam down the Ana. And so this is where I always kind of... this is a bad position to overcommit to because like when you're crossing the choke that your team will actually be really good at controlling, you're just exposing yourself in a way that you don't really need to. It's quite risky, and especially since Doom can literally just punch one of you and like get a one hit kill on you on the wall, and I think that's what he does actually over here. So like ideally if you're playing in a choke like this and you don't have a Lucio to guide you back, I would advise just staying in the choke. It's better to stay alive rather than get like risk dying when you seek to get more ult charge, right? So yeah, just play a bit safe, I would say, especially if you're not coming or the team's not coming. So yes, he just gets a straight up kill on the Ana, and even though you get the kill back on the Doom, it's still a higher value kill for them because not only did they get a healer from your team, they essentially got a spawning advantage, right? Which is never good for the defenders. So it's a pretty bad trade-off for you guys because they just lost a DPS and they have a closer spawn, and you lost a support, which is a huge deal, and your support's gonna spawn really far away, and Ana's not that fast. So unless she maybe swaps to Lucio and comes back fast, there's not really much you can do for the next few seconds. So here's where you actually hard disengage and just maintain the choke again. I like this. Okay. This is so scrappy, man. This is insanely scrappy. So
Just a scratch.
alright, so I like the restraint you showed over here in bubbling your Reinhardt. It was the right thing to do, objectively speaking. Knowing what their comp is, maybe not, but I don't think it was too bad of a decision that you held on to your bubble. So It's a concept not many players know, which is called squeezing the bubble. So, like, I'll just explain briefly. So, squeezing a bubble means that you try and save your bubble for exactly when you need it. So, you don't use it too soon because then you risk not getting enough value out of it. And that's what you should do when you're defending, because when the enemy team has to push into you, you can save that bubble for the right moment. When you're attacking, it's since you want to take space away from the defenders, you have to use your bubble more aggressively. So you use it a little bit preemptively to help your Reinhardt push up. But when you're defending, you can just wait for him to take a little bit of damage and then use it on him so that you get the maximum energy out of that bubble as well. Ryan just charges in. I don't know, maybe this was planned because this Zarya just bubbles him straight after, but we are really low on health. And the Ryan is nanoed, so this is really dangerous for us because he can actually kill us in 2 hammer swings. So we do the right thing here and we kite. So kiting is just repositioning to avoid damage in simple terms. So that's what you're doing here, which is a pretty good move. The Ryan does get your BAP, and you just focus down the Ryan. So here I think one thing you could have done is just rotate it back with your Ryan rather than linger around here for too long. You do win the fight in the end, but I think it's just overall a safe decision to stay with your Ryan, because the farther away you are from him, the higher the chances you get killed, right? Because you lack that protection. So just a stupid shadow from the enemy Ryan. There's nothing else to say about it. It was a pretty bad decision, especially since you bubbled before he even started his animation. Alright, so we've got a grab here. That's right, Zarya. Your ultimate is ready. So what do we have here? We don't... so we could have comboed with the Genji on a grab blade. Oh, and now you do have a Lucio, by the way, so, which is a great thing. The Ana made the right decision to swap to Lucio to come back faster. And it's also just overall better for your composition. The enemy team's still sticking with the Bastion for some reason, I don't know. But yeah, so one thing you can do with your Graviton here is you can tell your team that you're gonna Grav, and you can ask your BAP to put his window in front of your team. This is a really high value combo. I don't see it used very often on ladder, but Grav plus window plus Fire Strike is actually an insane combo. Because so if you guys ever watched the Overwatch League or Contenders, you might have seen that meta where players were running Rhine Orisa BAP essentially, and they used to do this thing where they did halt window Fire Strike, and that thing can just one shot squishies, right? So that's one thing you can do, but instead of a halt you have your Graviton Surge, so you can grab the enemy team, and then you can window and then Fire Strike into it. They don't really have anything other than Zarya bubbles to avoid that damage, so it'll protect two players tops on the enemy team. So that still gives you like a couple of kills, right? So let's see what you do with it. They have a Valkyrie which can't do much. They are closing in on the Bastion ult as well. So let's see how you use this. Alright, one more piece of advice. When we've already got our ultimate, we don't really want to be spamming. The reason being that our spam actually gives the enemy support ult charge because they heal their team back up. And since we already have our ult, it doesn't give us any value, right? So there's no point really spamming because all you're doing is giving the enemy team ult charge. So keep the spamming to a minimum. This also holds true for things like the Moira orb, because Moira saw the damage orb and get some damage in. So even that ability, you shouldn't be using it when you've got Coalescence on Moira. So yeah, that's my tip for now. Let's go ahead. That's okay, I like that. Good enough. Mm-hmm. See, so this happened once again. Our team just overcommitted beyond the choke and the bastion. No one was looking at the bastion earlier, right? So he just melted our BAP, and even though he died again, that's a high value kill for them because they kill your primary source of healing. So I mean, eventually, you're like as you climb throughout the ladder, this mistakes like these are going to be punished more and more. So you really need to be cautious about this as a team. I mean, no, it's not an individual thing. So we've used our shatter, which didn't get much value. Then since our Rhine charged in, I'm assuming we just yeeted the grav in like to save the fight in a way. And then we used a really odd window over here. So our window got no value, our shatter barely got any value, and our grav was okay-ish. I guess we got one kill off of it, but you ultimately lost because you guys overcommitted. I think you like this is something you could lose the point over, so I'm assuming this is where you lose the fight. They've gone Widow now. Moira Lucio. Okay, so even the Baps made a clever swap. He's swapping to the support that can get back the fastest. Other than Mercy, of course, but Moira is the one that generally goes with death balls. So the enemy team has their Bastion ult, and there's not really much you can do about it. So your best bet would be just to hide behind cover and avoid it, and ask your Rhine to shield the team. That's all you can really do about it. And they are coming up on a Graviton of their own. So yeah, they'll probably get it this fight. Let's see how they utilize it and how you react to it. Weak Widow, okay.
I am injured.
How the heck did Genji die? Oh wow, okay. What were you doing there? He was going after Widow, then he overcommitted and died. Let's watch that again. So Genji feeds. Big throw, big throw. Probably right. So in situations like these, right? Although like I said before, you should stay with your Reinhardt. In this case, your Reinhardt was way off position. I would have actually thought that you would back off over here and just save your own skin, because the rest of your team was a little bit farther from you. So this was the safest, closest safe space you could have gotten to. And then yeah, you die in the process. Your Junkrat uses tire. So let's see. Gets 2 off of it, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Gets a third. Gets a third. Only so much you can do. Sag. So yeah, I would say the Genji really cost you that point overall, but yeah, positioning wise you could have done better. Please pick Ana. Oh, thank you.
Never stop fighting for what
I haven't watched this VOD before, by the way. I'm just like, when they have a Bastion, Ana is a solid pick because you can just sleep a Bastion quite easily, especially in a comp like that. Then you can nade him and focus him down as a team. There's many ways in which an Ana can shut down a Bastion. Alright, so we've got Beat. So we can use Beat against the Graviton Surge, which is a pretty good counter. And then we've got our own Blade coming up. So one thing you can do when you've got a Genji with Blade is you can, sorry about that, you can use your bubble on the Genji when he pulls his Blade out, so that when he engages, he is relatively safe and harder to kill. And then by the time your bubble wears off, he's probably gotten 1 kill and then he can just use his dash resets to try and chain together more. So that's what I hope you will do in this fight. Oh my god. I think, and positioning wise, I don't think this is a good spot for you guys to defend. This would be a better place because you can, like, this is like the highest ground over here, so to speak, right? And they would have to pass through here to sort of get to you. And plus you've got a Junkrat who can spam down this corridor quite easily. So that gives you an additional sort of spamming window. And just staying out here, it's harder to retreat for you guys when you're here. So rather than staying here, I would suggest you go up here. I hope that makes sense. So because if you're here and they push towards you, you can't really kite this way because they can just focus you down, and it's easier for them to still put damage onto you. And going this way also doesn't really help that much because then you'll just have to drop back down to the lower ground, or you can stay on this balcony but then they rotate around and get this high ground instead. So just better to stay here. This is like the power position, I would say. Spam is alright. Now look at this. There's like part of your team's here, and then your Junkrat has just died. I don't know where. Your Junkrat stayed behind. So yeah, another, like, that's why I said it's hard to retreat from here. It's just better to stay up there. And yeah, he also got within the Widow's LOS, so that was like a free kill for her. And let's see how this plays out. Big nade. These are good bubbles. Those bubbles were pretty good. When you're on a grab, there's not much more you can do. But so your junk dies, they push in. That is a big need. So I think if your reaction time were better, you could have blocked that shadow. This is one thing you will have to get better at, which is reactively blocking shadow with your personal bubble as you climb higher with Zarya. So it's just a matter of reflexes. It's like there's nothing to coach about that. So just watch out for the animation. It's similar to like blocking a shatter as Reinhardt. You just have to wait for the enemy Rein's shatter Q and then react to it. I have to stop pressing that button, man. So your Rein gets caught. We get their Rein, which is actually a pretty high value kill. But then they just have a lot more damage. Our Genji dies. They get the high ground and then I'm assuming the cap straight away. Where was our Lucio? Oh, you got shadowed, so he could not beat. Although he had a window to beat. It's not like he completely couldn't have. Oh no, that was a tough one. It's fine. That was a difficult one. Do you get out here? That's okay. So far, not something to be really like. I don't think you were playing badly. They're just like really like tiny details you could have paid more attention to in terms of positioning and just like holding positions and things like that. But like you said, that's a little bit more of a macro thing, and your whole team needs to understand things like rotations, which doesn't really happen in gold level play as far as I know. Through experience, obviously, but yeah. Alright, so if assuming they are going to play the same comp or a similar comp this time, I would say Zarya is a little bit of a like weaker pick than the other off tanks you could select. I would say Sigma is a pretty good one to choose because not only can is he really strong in the meta right now, and so this is like the experimental patch where Sigma's shield is nerfed is still on the experimental card as of now. Just for context, for when I'm recording this video, so that nerf hasn't gone through yet. So Sigma's still really strong. So what Sigma can do is help you reposition a little bit better because he can deploy his shield in positions where your Ryan really doesn't want to use his, because Ryan doesn't want to use his shield until he gets up really close to his opponents, and that's where Sigma can be like an interim main tank, so to speak. And he also has his Eat, like a shift ability, which is great against Bastion, like for short repositioning periods, right? And just he puts out a ton of damage, and plus his Flux is a really strong ultimate against Deathwall comps. And one more thing is against an Ana. So one thing you can do is you can just place your experimental barrier in front of the enemy Ana, and she cannot get heals across temporarily to her tanks, right? And that's when your team can go aggressive and hopefully get a kill before the Ana can reposition and heal her team back up. So that's one pick, and I think even D.Va would do better here. Ryan D.Va is still a pretty good comp. D.Va is obviously great against Bastion. You can also eat the enemy Ryan's Fire Strikes. You can eat the enemy Ana's Nade as well as Sleep Dart. So a lot of value you can even get on D.Va. Zarya just, like, I wouldn't say she's a horrible pick, but she's a little bit weaker against the likes of Bastion, which seems to be causing trouble for all of you anyway. So let's see how you go about selecting your hero. They are running a Junkrat on defense. We are running Widow Genji with Mercy Lucio, which is low healing for a Deathwall comp. Well, just like low healing and utility in general, running Mercy Lucio. Running a Winston now. Okay, so the enemy team's going Ashe Mercy. Ashe Mercy and Junkrat are all very good on this point because it's a good point for spam, right? So once again, Junkrat can cover the chokes quite easily with his grenades, and Ashe can land really fat dynamites while your teams are brawling at this choke. And especially with the Mercy Pocket, she can get really high value. So let's see what you play. If you're running Winston into that, it's objectively not a bad pick, but Winston wouldn't be my first choice on Hanamura A attack. Mercy Lucio is just iffy. Let's see what happens here. Playing Ryan again, okay. That's better, but I wish the Mercy would go either Bap Moira or Ana. Okay, that bubble's good. Widow gets a pick, we go aggressive here. Yes, yes. Unlucky. That's alright. A little bit of an early bubble, that last one, but I can understand you wanted to push. Just preemptively use it. It happens to all of us. Just make sure you don't use early bubbles when the fight is not won yet. So they've switched to Sim and Widow.
No one can hide from my sight.
Alright, let's see what they've got. So this is the right path you guys should be taking. You need to get control of the high ground. If so, on this point, if you can pick off the enemy widow early and position your widow on this balcony, this is like a great shooting gallery for any hit scan, right? So like your widow's goal literally should just be to take out the enemy widow first and then position herself here, and while your team gets to the point and starts capping and puts pressure on the enemy team to contest. So this is absolutely the right decision when you're going up here. They've just got a Rein Zarya. The thing with Ana on this point is she's pretty good at that exact position actually, but if I'll explain this from first person view in a bit, but if her teammates aren't very close to the ledge, she cannot actually heal them unless she throws a nade. So if they are in this choke, you can see the point of view now. So it's not completely safe for her to be peeking out here. Like generally your Ana would want to be somewhere back here. If she's out here, like that's where she needs to be to heal her team, and that also makes her an easy kill for an attacking widow. So I hope your widow knows how to exploit these openings. I'm actually like, since it's a replay, I tend to talk about the macro picture a bit as well, so I hope you don't mind that. This was, I think, part of the miscommunication you're talking about, because when you bubble the Rein, when you bubble your Rein, he backed off. So I don't know if he wasn't listening or whether you just forgot to communicate that bubble, but that got you 0 value. Like literally your energy is at 0. So yeah, miscommunication, and plus your widow died. So this is why we back up, right? We just don't attack. When it's 2 CP attack and we are on the enemy team's turf, so to speak, we don't engage 5v6, never. Like even 6v6 is hard on 2 CP point Bs for attackers. So when you have one down, just back off. It doesn't matter. You've got 5.5 minutes to go. There's plenty of time for you guys to make more pushes. So I hope you guys just move back outside. We res, okay. We don't want to be here. We don't want to be here. Nope. Everything's being used. Let's talk about that. Widow dies, we poke around a bit. Maybe we knew we were gonna get the res, right? So we just stuck around for a bit. This is not a good decision. The main reason being, when you're, especially in an uncoordinated setup, when your rotations aren't set in stone, you don't really know how the rest of your teammates are going to respond to this rotation. And if there's like a moment where your Reinhardt drops his shield, it gives the enemy widow a free shot. And like I said, if the attackers get killed, if one attacker gets killed on 2 CP point B, it's like a GG for that team fight. So you have to make sure that you that you are all alive when you really commit to a fight on 2 CP point Bs. So this is just like your team is unnecessarily putting themselves in a vulnerable position. Look at this. Look how easy it is for the widow to spot you guys here, right? So, and if you would have positioned up here, it wouldn't have been that easy for the widow. She would have had to rotate. She would have had to maybe grapple up here or take a position up here so that she could see you, right? So yeah, this is just generally not a good rotation on this point, especially not in solo queue. It's just how it is. This is the poor pathing we were talking about. So their widow dies. Sorry, our widow dies. Their mercy dies. So we decide to commit because they're down a healer. But this is still the wrong move because again you're going in 5v6. So they will get their mercy back really fast, and you're not gonna get a even a tick that easily. Look at the ultimates they've got as well, right? They've got an Earth Shadow, they've got a Nano Boost, they've got their Graviton Surge. So do you really want to be committing into this fight against 3 really powerful ultimates? I wouldn't have. I know we have a Sound Barrier, we have a Blade and Earth Shatter, but again, 5v6, 2 CP attack. We don't want that. And we still commit a lot to this fight. There's a counter charge. Both Rhines get bubbled. We get the sim. So we beat, which I don't think is the best call here, especially since the enemy team still has Grav. They shatter. So there's just 3 ultimates being committed by them, right? So they've landed a Grav. They have landed a Nano Boost on their Reinhardt, so he can just swing and kind of decimate your team. And we've committed Blade. So their Widow just lands an insane shot on our Genji and eliminates him. I want to see that shot. Look at that limb. Wow. Oof. Did she get lucky there?
No one can hide from my sight.
I don't know why she uses Infrasight here. I don't know. Is she just flexing? I really don't know. She's probably just flexing. But see, we used our Sound Barrier and our Blade. 2 powerful ultimates that we could have saved for better times. So if they use their you could have turned this into an eco push, quite frankly. So you decided to commit to the fight despite having your Widow down, but after that you needn't have committed ultimates. You could have just baited out their ultimates. So this is called an eco push. You could have just made a spontaneous call to not use ults and get their ultimates out. Anyway, again, this is solo queue, so yeah, there's so many mistakes you can point out in games like these. I'm gonna try and focus on Anto's play over here. So now they've got no ultimate. They are close to Valk. We still have Mercy Lucio. It's a bit iffy. We've got Grav, we've got Valk, we've got Earth Shatter. So honestly, this is our best shot so far at capping point B. So let's see what we do here. One thing I honestly wouldn't mind you guys doing, based on the enemy team's positioning, is walk through main here. The reason being that they've got no hit scan set up over here, and normally when the enemy team has a hit scan here, or just like a DPS, you can say, it's better to take the high ground from this side rather than walk through main, because then it's a free shooting gallery, like I said. But since they have just a Widow over here, she's probably going to rotate back over there. You could just walk through main and have your Widow just take a duel against that Widow, right? So you don't have to worry about the Widow duel, especially as Zarya, because you can't do much against a Widow. All you can do is supplement your Rein and get value out of that synergy. Not really a job. Yeah, so you guys just...
This is not your time. Heroes never die. I am taking the objective.
Unlucky we got bumped off. Oh, we get the Widow. Nice little rocket jump. We don't grab here. I hope we don't grab here. Okay, great. Just unlucky we got charged off. Nothing much you could have done about that. We committed Valk sadly, but so did they, so I think we still have a decent shot. Yeah, I mean it's still going to be hard because firstly because of that random Junkrat death. Where was the junk? Oh, okay, yeah. So they have their symbol, which is the ultimate's really crazily powerful. Some might even say it's OP. They've also got Nano Boost, and since their Zarya's high energy right now, I'm assuming they'll get a grab as well. So again, not a good fight for you to play into when it's 3 ults for you and 3 ults for them. Since you're attacking again 2 CP point B, this is why people don't like 2 CP essentially. But yeah, so this is just like the Junkrats just put you back by 15 seconds or so. Our Widow's got 2 picks. This is just poor communication again. Our Rhine was alone for some reason. Ah no, we don't do that. We don't do that. I see what you were doing there. So there was, I'm sure you know there was a bad grab, right? So for multiple reasons. Firstly, you guys were down a Reinhardt. Your other DPS Aster, he was Junkrat earlier. Now he's playing top. Let's just say they. So they were playing Junk earlier. Now they're playing top. They were still on their way back after the respawn. So we were essentially down 2 players, right? Even though Widow gets 2 picks, we can't cap point B with 4 players. And then you committed a grab onto like a solo grab onto Reinhardt, whose shield was pretty high on health. So like just a general tip when you're using grav, make sure that the enemy team's shields are either destroyed or weak when you use your grav, and make sure you are high energy, because even you were low energy when you did that, right? So when you're low energy and when the enemy team has their defenses up, there's no point in using a grav, but because you're not going to be able to confirm any damage onto them, right? So like I've actually written an article about this, about like educational posts about graviton tips. I will link it in the description so you guys can take a look. So one of the tips is that you need to like make sure the enemy team doesn't have their defensive abilities or cooldowns to protect them when you grab them. So I will link that article. You guys can check that out. We picked off the Widow again. This Widow duel is quite interesting. Get a shatter off. This is not where you want to be again. You should be by your Rhine. Unlucky Babu. We lose the fight again. See, I really don't mind this call of going through mid, like I said, because like I told you, the hitscan's not controlling the high ground, so you can storm onto point and just take the Widow duel separately. And now you're switching to D.Va, which is not a bad pick, I would say. I don't know if you're trying to go for a grab eat over here, which would be a super high value play. Let's see what happens here. So they've got sights up. I also hope you're not going D.Va to contest the Widow, because you really should be staying with your Rhine in this composition. You should, like, your Widow has been winning some of the duels against the enemy Widow, so you can just trust her with that and stay with your Rhine, enable him. So what I'm looking for you to do here mainly is eat the enemy Ana's anti-nade as well as sleep dart. The sleep dart's a little bit trickier, but the nade for sure. As well as the enemy Rhine's fire strikes, so that he gets less ult charge. And if you can eat the grav. Let's see if that happens. Right. I can hear the Widow up here. Oh, she got a pick. That was a mercy, sorry. Nice charge. Oh. Again, I don't even like the fact that we committed beat here, but again, not up to you.
Thank you. Comes up.
So one thing I would point out is when your Ryan charged back here, he did that short charge to take out the enemy Ryan, which was a pretty good one, but so when he charges like this, you should be matrixing him, right? Remember to switch, like the moment your Ryan goes aggressive, you should go defensive and make sure that he gets through his sort of patch of aggression safely. And then we go in and here we get grabbed. The poor beat, nothing much to say. He sort of just kind of the Lucio player just decided that they would beat against the craft, but they didn't. They shouldn't have beaten against that craft. Because we'd already lost our Ryan again. Like it's really annoying in 2CP, but it's just something you have to follow. If you're even one player down, you shouldn't commit to a fight on 2CP unless you have like a huge slew of ultimates which you know you can get value out of, and the enemy team doesn't. Because the defenders do really have a major advantage on Hanamura point B especially. They've got a Valk and they will get a nano. We've got Valk, Lava and Sights. Paradise. Oh no. Heavens no. Yikes. Good fire strikey. This is just a bad decision. Like, it doesn't take much to see it, right? I'm sure you probably like hit yourself after you did this. You don't just dive through like that. Even if you're trying to push the Zarya off the high ground, which you did, it's not the right call. You should just be staying with your Reinhardt. Even if it takes you guys a bit longer to push, you don't risk losing your mech, right? So this is a super risky move, super risky. And yeah, you get punished for it, and your team loses a push in the process. Your team should back off. That's good for us. They didn't need to use the shadow, but they did. Why does he stop committing? I mean, if he dies here, that's pay hands. Okay. We've used sights now? Okay. She's looking for the Ana. Widow. Anyway. So we've got dive tanks now. We've got Winston D.Va. I'm not really sure how you guys plan on diving over here because their Ana and Widow are positioned quite far back. Like generally dive works on this point if you want to capture this high ground, but like trying to dive so you can get back here is just not the play. There's not much space you can buy that way here. If you're going dive, it should just be to contest the high ground. Otherwise you're better off playing a death ball and letting the Widow take the long range duels.
Time to raise my APM. 60 seconds.
I don't mind this. Nice. I don't mind that at all. But again, you get unlucky. Like, I like that you took the effort to actually, you recognized that the widow was out of position, and you went to get her on this high ground. So I think it was a good move. I just wish your Winston had dove in with you. Obviously, that's not in your control. It's just unlucky for you. The Winston's just, he was doing something else. So one tip I can actually give you here.
No one can hide.
Time to read my DCN.
So you go for this dive. So the widow gets bubbled, the bubble breaks, the widow escapes. Alright, so just with this much information, right? I know that now the Mercy is going to pop Valk, but since I know she didn't, I would have just focused my blasters on her. Because she's already close to me, and I can chase her down if the need be. I can chase her down, maybe use like half my boosters to chase her down and then fly back up and then land here. So like getting a Mercy, getting kill on a Mercy is super high value, right? Plus if you shoot her, you don't trigger her passive healing, which is again a plus for you. But it's okay, we get the kill on the Widow. It's just that we and Winston are in different places. We are going for different things here. We are going for different targets. We kill the Widow, but the Rhine pins Winston. The Widow gets rezzed. We drop down, spam around a bit, go for the Ana, then get demacked and killed. And we've reached final fight territory. Winston gets rezzed. I mean, what can you do here, right? It's like a huge stagger. And they've got a really good combo coming up. Grav Lava. It's a really solid combo if you want to wear your opponents down. Like Grav Lava can also get a ton of kills, but it's also useful at wearing down your opponents, so you can just go aggressive and finish them off. Again, yeah, there's not much you'll be able to do here. There's no advice I can give you for this stall. One thing I could advise you on here is you should firstly fly in at the very last second. This bomb was right, but I think you should stick the landing over here because overtime isn't going to wear down that fast, right? So you can land over here, remack over here, and then drop back down. And then every time you get your boosters, you just fly up in the air a little bit, maybe land over here again and go back down a little bit quicker. So when you use that bomb, you should have landed here, in my opinion. It would have bought your team a few more seconds. Although it's evidently a lost game, but still, you never know. And that's it. Alright, so overall takeaways from this game, like you said, pathing and communication did seem to be like major issues, but there were things that you individually struggled with as well. So like the first thing I told you was like over committing to a fight, which you should never do, which was although it was a team wide problem, you could have also adhered to it a little bit more. Like, don't cross your own choke. Like the choke that you're defending, it gives you a position of power, so try not to cross it too much, especially when the enemy team is regrouping. The second tip, obviously, like I said, when you were playing Rhine D.Va and you just flew at the Zarya and knocked her off high ground, that's not what you do. If you're playing with a Reinhardt, you stay with the Reinhardt, right? Like even if you're playing D.Va, like when you're playing D.Va with a Rhine, she's no longer a dive tank. Just think of her as a death ball tank. Think of her as like a Zarya with no beam. Like you're just there to support your Reinhardt and stay with him all the time. If there's an enemy widow, then and you have a widow of your own, you need not concern yourself. It has to be it has to be a widow diff in that case if you want to win, right? And yeah, just like your fundamentals with Ryan D.Va need to improve essentially. Just stay with your Reinhardt when you're playing Ryan D.Va. If you're playing Winston D.Va, that's when you follow your Winston. So just like try and stay with your main tank as much as possible. Um, and pathing, I think pathing and communication wise, things will improve slightly as you climb up the ranks. Uh, but yeah, and also if you remember the graviton that I talked about, when you grabbed into the like solo grabbed the enemy Rhine, and he had a shield up. Again, bad call. You didn't have high enough energy, and the enemy Rhine had a really strong shield, so not a good call. Once again, I will link my article down below so you guys can read about how to land better gravitons. Um, and yeah, that was basically my review. If you guys have any feedback for me, feel free to leave it down in the comments. If you have any feedback for Anto, please you can do that as well if there's something I missed. Um, if you like this review, found it useful, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this review around with other off-tank players whom you think might benefit from this video. So thanks a lot guys, and I will see you later. Bye bye.